I'm ready. Wait, is there anything is there an intro or anything that I should be aware of?
No, we'll introduce you.
Okay. All right. Let's go.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Off Speed Podcast. My name is Matt Sadler.
I'm Dan Gamache.
And with us today, we have the always funny, the very talented, the beautiful
Adele Dazeem?
the wickedly talented Adele Dazeem. John Oremus is with us.
Oh, thank God! It's about time. I gotta make an honest disclosure. I have never listened to this podcast before, but I'm really excited to make history.
Okay, great. Make history?
Yes.
As being the first guest who has not listened to us?
I mean, that can't be. There must be people who have been on pod. You can't tell me that Martin Mull listens to Mark Maron.
No, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. There's every 100 episodes, somebody's like, I actually listened to this show, but you know us.
That's true. Allegedly.
So John is with us to talk about the National League for this upcoming 2019 season. You grew up in Chicago as a Cubs fan, correct?
I did, yes.
So you've been an NL Central guy your whole life, right?
Yeah, I'm a National League guy. I think the designated hitter should be made illegal. I think it's stupid and it's dumb and I hate it.
Are you at all just saying that to get on Dan's nerves?
No, I think it's stupid.
Dan's oh my God, you should see the smile on his face. He's a big
pro DH.
The designated hitter is stupid. Why do we allow it?
I go back and forth. I'm kind of okay with it in one league and not in the other, so we get both. But
yeah, I think that's my highest peak of tolerance is that I think it's cool that it's different. I think if there's one thing I have to say about baseball, it's that it's my favorite sport because it is easily the dumbest sport. You know what I'm saying? It's so stupid. None of it makes sense. All of it is arbitrary. None of it rhymes. I love that about it. It's disjointed.
It is the only untimed sport, and the defense has the ball the whole time. It is a little strange.
Right? I mean, but that's actually one element that I think they pointed out in Ken Burns' baseball, that the whole element of the defensive team holding possession, you can't shed time. You can't run the clock.
Right.
And I think that's awesome. And again, that's a weird, stupid discrepancy that, good, let there be a DH. Who cares? But we're here to talk about the National League, so I don't want to hear the D word for a while.
Okay, we will not mention the D word. We'll do this geographically and start in the East. The Philadelphia Phillies have recently signed Bryce Harper. Have you heard of this guy?
Who?
Yeah, 13 years, $330 million. That's an expensive haircut.
That is an expensive haircut. The Phillies are an interesting team. I've always kind of liked the Phillies just because I think they have great jerseys and the Philly Fanatic is just a wonderful guy. But it's crazy because they're a team that I don't associate with spending a lot of money. But think about how much money they shelled on the 2008 team, and much of it after they won. So
part of the reason they haven't been spending money is because of that. They do go for it.
They go for it, So good for them.
Real quick, Philly Fanatic versus Mr. Met. Who's winning in a fight?
Let me think. I go with the Fanatic. I think the big head is a detriment. It's more room to hit, right?
Yeah, he's top heavy.
And the Philly Fanatic also, I would say, has more deviousness than Mr. Met, which gives him the advantage in my book.
Yeah, I mean he is a literal monster, the Philly Fanatic. Yeah. So
no, but the Phillies. I don't know. They have really good pitching. I think it's funny. The last couple of years, them and the Braves have been on a bit of an uptick, right? Both had been quote unquote tanking for a while, and I always thought that the Braves had the better offense, but the Phillies had better pitching. But now I think both of those things. Well, what did the Braves pick up pitching this offseason?
They didn't do a lot in terms of pitching. They did go out and get Brian McCann.
Donaldson.
Yeah, and Donaldson. What? They give him $23 million?
Yeah, I think it was 1 year.
8 games last year? Nuts.
Yeah. But there is a rumor that they might go out after.
I mean, who's other than the Marlins? All those teams are going to be competitive next year, right?
Yeah.
The Nats are going to be competitive if they can, straighten the ship. The Mets, they'll probably suck, but that'll be at least fun.
For the first month, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Mets are a really good April team, man.
Yeah, they made some big pickups. They got, Robbie Cano is a big pickup in 2009, but those teams, they always seem to try to be competitive. I think that has something to do with the quote unquote East Coast sports craze, where
you're saying they need to spend more money and be better because the media is not as patient,
scrutinizing, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
What's the only thing you hear about Philadelphia? The fans are angry all the time, right? When you're
they booed Santa Claus. That's true. Well, I would be too.
Yeah, the East. Obviously, I followed the Central a lot more throughout my life than the East, but I've been to all those stadiums, a lot of them twice. But yeah, I would say I honestly think the Nationals might still have the best team in the East if they're healthy, especially on the pitching end, because they just how much they shell on Corbin, like 150 million.
I believe it was 130 something.
Yeah,
So the big deal, and then with how much they've already spent on Scherzer
and Strasburg.
If that rotation can stay healthy, they could win the National League.
So you're going with the Nats to win the division, even with losing Harper?
Oh. I'm going to go with the Phillies. I'm also just like such an Aaron Nola stan. I think he's outstanding. He's really fun to watch too. But yeah, I would say that the Phillies are my pick to win the East.
Yeah,
the East is going to be tricky. You're going to probably need at least 93, 95 wins to win that division next year.
I would imagine. Yeah, I think there's 4 teams who probably are going to win 80 games at least.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it. Maybe the dumbest thing you can say about the National League East is, if the Nationals stay healthy, they'll win. Or because I feel like that's been the narrative in the National League East for the last 8 years, right?
Well, the dumbest thing you could say about the National League East is that the Marlins are going to win.
that is the one and true dumbest.
Will they be able to average over 12,000 fans per game this year?
No way, no chance. Those New Jerseys they're gross.
And how many current Marlin players can you name?
You're making me seem like Mike Francesco right now.
Starlin Castro.
Starlin Castro still on the Marlins?
Yeah, he's still on the Marlins. He's like the guy, man.
They haven't traded him yet.
The Chicago Cub legend.
One Marlin. Matt, you know what? You can't tell me that Matt Latos isn't on the Marlins. There's no way you can convince me.
Okay, fair enough, yeah.
He's on the Marlins. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, I imagine Ricky Nolasco is still there too, though I have no evidence to back that up.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, so you got the Phillies. Anybody else from that division going to make a run at a wild card?
Ooh, I would say no, because I think the Central is going to have 3 playoff teams this year.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
so the East maybe beats up on each other too much, and no one.
I would say again, I still think the Nationals are going to come in second. If Soto can not have a parallel season, he can get better. If he can sort of take the mantle from Harper, I think the Nationals win 90 games. If they're, again, the age old comment, if their starting pitching is healthy. But I still think, even if that's the case, I think a lot would have to go wrong for the Phillies. I just forgot they got Gene Segura. Gene Segura's a good player.
Very good leadoff hitter.
Yeah, he's just hitting 300, playing pretty good shortstop. Yeah, that's a good one. Again, I think one of the most compelling storylines in the East, and I think it's going to be talked about a lot, is Gabe Kapler and how he kind of manages a contender.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, I'd say they're going to win. I'd say Phillies in the East.
All right, let's move on to the Central, your area of expertise.
Yeah, the National League Central is, I think, at the end of the day, the thing I love second most behind my mother is the National League Central.
Okay,
I love the National League Central.
I'm happy for your mom that she's number one.
But yeah, NL Central is going to be tough this year. I'm not really high on the Cubs, but they just didn't improve from a team that last season was already shitty. And people are talking about Chris Bryant coming back and like he's a new signing. But I mean, I just don't see it. Unless Yu Darvish can somehow manage to throw more than 8 games, then I still have a tough time, especially Cardinals are going to be good. The Brewers are going to be really good. All the teams in the Central, I think, are going to play tough this year. Even look at what the Reds did in the offseason.
Yeah, the Reds are going to be exciting.
Yeah, right? They had a great offseason. If Sonny Gray can not suck, if Sonny Gray can pitch like everybody thinks he could pitch for the last 7 years, then I think the Reds can. I mean, they played tough last year. I feel like they played the Cubs really well last year, and it hurt the Cubs in the long run. But I mean, it's tough because again, that's a division where I think you're going to need to win 95 games to win it.
Absolutely, and it's not just picking up Sonny Gray; it's more so unloading Homer Bailey.
Oh my God. Homer Bailey, that contract to me was so New York Knicks, the Homer Bailey contract. Like, it's like somehow like, it was like take your daughter to work day, but it was Steve Dolan, and Steve Dolan got to pay Homer Bailey. But, like I said, they played tough last year, and who wants to be in Cincinnati, right? Everybody's got to feel like shit when they're there.
Hey, I've never been to the Queen City, but I heard it's lovely.
So. Well, if it's, I'll tell you this: the Queen City is worse than the Queen movie.
Okay, wait, are you talking about Bohemian Rhapsody or The Queen with Helen Mirren?
Oh well, The Queen is great, but I don't want to. No more talking about Helen Mirren.
That's for our Helen Mirren podcast.
Yeah, and the Pirates, I feel like, you know what? I really didn't like that deal they made for Archer. That was bad. The Pirates are one of those teams. I remember when they made that deal, somebody on MLB TV was saying that they're the kind of team that they have to reload in that way because they're never going to have the payroll.
Right.
Which is sad because that's such a great sports town and that's such a well supported team too. I mean, the Pirates, who are, I would think, by most measures in the lower half of the NL Central, they're still a team that's going to play tough. The same way that the Mets might play tough. It's the teams that can consistently nail lower opponents. I mean, that's something the Cubs did in 2016. They beat the shit out of the Reds and the Pirates. And with those teams being, I'm not saying they're terribly strong. They're not competitors, but they could win 75 games, and that's not nothing.
All right, let's talk about the Brewers, the greatest franchise in sports.
Yeah.
A lot of breakthrough seasons last year for a lot of guys. Jesus Aguilar, who is somebody I've loved forever just because of how fat he is. He broke through and had a tremendous season last year, and for a good portion of the year was leading the National League in RBIs.
Yeah, he wound up with 108, and he's only 28 years old, 28 or 29.
Yeah, he's been around. He wasn't even an everyday player the year before, and Cleveland, I believe, waived him. The Indians just didn't want him at all.
Well, his problem is he's a defensive liability. I mean, they have him at first, but, I mean, that's the thing about the Brewers that I think the reason they broke through last year was just look at that depth. Jesus. I mean,
I promised not to use the D word, but I do think that Jesus Aguilar maybe would be better suited for an American League team. I won't use the D word that I promised not to use, but yeah, he seems like an AL kind of hitter, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, but I think, Matt, you've been, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if you changed your tune on this, but you've been a long-time critic of Craig Counsell, right?
I guess I softened on him this past playoffs. I think he outmanaged Dave Roberts in the NLCS.
Yeah.
But he's made some questionable decisions, and you never know how much of it is upper management telling him how to use the bullpen, but certain mistakes that are made that are pretty obvious when you're going into it. It's not like a tough call. Some of these, it's just like, it's a bad managing decision before it falls apart.
I'll tell you what, I was shocked at how little they got Moustakas back for. 11 million. I mean, 11 million. Obviously, more money than anybody should be paying somebody named Mike Moustakas. But
right.
That's not a diss on him being Greek. It's just Mike Moustakas. What's going on there? But that's a pretty fair deal, wouldn't you think?
Oh, absolutely. It's the same day that the Padres gave $300 million to Manny Machado.
Signings like that, like a 1-year deal with that and Hernandez, it's like these guys, the Brewers are willing to spend some money. Those guys want to be there. And, that sounds like some dumb sports cliches, but, I went to a handful of games last year and they were always well supported. And, it's just like any other, and it's like every sports team. When they're good, they're supported. And the Brewers were great last year, and they put asses in seats all year. And that's an interesting part, too, how it plays differently with the roof open and closed.
The one issue they maybe have is Ryan Braun's contract. He's started to decline. He's not performing at the level that he did. It was a fairly team-friendly deal, and he was worth more than he was making for a lot of it. But now, for a team that doesn't have an unlimited budget, he's taking up quite a bit, and he may not even be playing 130 games this year.
Yeah, I remember a couple of years ago, I remember they were talking about getting rid of him at the deadline, and he wanted to go to LA, but they never pulled that trigger. But that deal, the thing is, you always have to keep in context that it's the Brewers who have to pay him, almost $60 million left. And that's a different financial strain than it would be on even a team like the Phillies.
Right.
But yeah, I think the Brewers got to be considered the objective favorite going in this season with an NL Central, right? Wouldn't you both agree?
Absolutely.
That was
I would say,
60 minutes of me, and I apologize.
Objection leading.
A team we haven't even really mentioned much, the Cardinals. God, they stocked up this year.
Yeah, you take a team that missed the playoffs by only a couple games, and then you add Paul Goldschmidt. I feel like that's a playoff team.
It's the narrative there with he's on the last year of the contract, right?
Yes, he is.
And if because the Cardinals, they're a team they've spent some money in the past. They don't have the change that the Cubs do or the Phillies or Mets or anything, but that's a team that's willing to spend to compete. I mean, but they probably still owe Adam Wainwright a lot of money, you think, right?
Well, no, his contract ended last year. They re-upped him this year, so he'll be making considerably less than he had been.
But again, this division is going to take something in the mid-early 90s to win.
Probably, yeah.
And I mean, do they have the pitching? I mean, I like that kid.
They always
Markowitz.
seem to.
Is that his name?
Michaelis, yep.
Yeah, Markowitz. Megan Markowitz.
Yep.
He's great. No, but they got Matt Adams back. Matt Adams belongs in St. Louis. I think we could all agree on that.
Yes.
He belongs there.
All right. So you got the Brewers winning the division?
Yeah, I think the Brewers winning, and I think I said earlier that I saw 2 wild card teams coming out. I'm gonna strike that down to 1 because, like I said, I think the Pirates and Reds, and you know what, the Cubs are gonna play above their weight this year. Are we going to the West Coast right now?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Full disclosure for those listening, I thought we were going to do bits today. I was not properly made aware that we were discussing the entire National League.
You're allowed to do bits as well.
Yeah, right?
Just National League bits. Just don't do any DH bits.
That's it. That was all right, joke. I'm bad. 6.5 out of 10. I'm giving that joke a 1-year, $7 million contract.
All right, that's decent. All right.
Yeah, it's not bad.
That's like a 1-2 war joke, It's going to get a win above replacement.
Yeah, we might even throw a team option in there if you play your cards right.
All right. If you'd like to, you could do one of the divisions. You could do the NL West in a Richard Kind voice if you want to do more bits.
Richard Kind voice?
Yeah.
Yeah, the NL West, again, the National League, so full of uncertainty. I mean, I'm not as plugged into the Dodgers as you guys.
Us guys in LA.
You guys love the National League West. But yeah, I think the Rockies have to be considered some contenders for that division, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. They've been in the wild card game each of the last 2 years. They're having a nice run. Bud Black has done a good job.
Yeah. I mean, the question in Colorado since day one of that franchise, and it will be for the rest of time, is what do they do with their starting pitching? And I would assume that there is a very distinct correlation between seasons when the Rockies pitching is on an uptick and them making runs to the playoffs. But if you look at their rotation last year, they got some quality arms, and even a guy like John Gray, who had a bad year last year, if he can kind of right the ship a little bit, I mean, then that's a team that can easily win 90, 95 games with that offense. Geez.
In Kyle Freeland, I think they may have their first ace in franchise history. It's been 25 years. They finally have an ace.
You're telling me that Jeff Francis wasn't an ace? You get out of here with that slander.
Nor was Aaron Cook, unfortunately.
Yeah, what's funny? The Rockies are a team that I have had a soft spot for almost my entire life because the first Little League team I played on were the Rockies.
Mine was the Marlins, like right when they were brand new. So,
Wow.
well, they weren't brand new, but it was like when they were winning. They won the '97 World Series the year I was on the Marlins. So, you think Colorado's going to win that division?
Well, I haven't really had a chance to think much about the other teams in that division because the thing, like I said, the Dodgers, who are another team that I don't particularly like. I mean, did they make the necessary improvements? Because I was personally shocked that they didn't land Harper or Machado.
But they brought in Homer Bailey.
But then they cut him. Then they cut him.
Absolutely right.
All right, so Homer Bailey not going to help the Dodgers win any games. I will say, if those prospects they got don't pan out, that trade will go down in history as the time the Dodgers traded Puig and Kemp and Alex Wood and Kyle Farmer for Homer Bailey so they could cut him. All right, so what about Manny Machado going to the Padres? Does San Diego make an improvement this year? Are they ready to make a run with some of these young guys?
Well, I mean, the one thing I was surprised by was how deep the Padres minor league system is.
Yeah,
I feel like that's a team that nobody talks about unless they're again floating a name like Machado. But God, I mean that's the thing is about Harper versus Machado is that Harper just being a corner outfielder with a big bat, I feel like that might age better than Machado. But that's a team that, I mean, God, they went out and spent some money. So I can't tell you diddly squat about the San Diego Padres ownership. But if they're going out,
it's the O'Malleys. It's
Really?
Walter O'Malley's grandkids.
Really?
Yeah, two of them are Peter O'Malley's kids, and two of them are like their cousins. They're O'Malleys. So they're going to move the team to Los Angeles.
Speaking of the American oligarchy that we live in, did you know that Connie Mack's kids and like grandkids are all like senators and representatives?
No,
like,
I did not.
Connie Mack the fifth is in the House of Representatives.
I did not know that.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah. Did you know that Tom Ricketts, his brother, is the governor of Nebraska?
I did know that. Right?
His other brother is the owner of High Plains Bison.
Really?
Yeah, they own the Bisons.
Yes, and his father is the owner of many anti-Muslim views. You knew you were tickling the belly of the dragon, and you asked me to talk about the the National League.
Shouldn't bring up the Ricketts family.
Yeah, another team that we have not mentioned are the Diamondbacks, and that's the last we're going to mention them because they are terrible.
Okay, great. What about the Giants then?
I was kind of hoping that Harper would go there because I just love San Francisco, and I think he can hit a lot of home runs there. But I saw, did you see the Smash Mouth tweet about Bruce Bochy?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were very upset about Bruce Bochy.
They got to fire him.
They were very happy about the Phillies signing Bryce Harper.
They were?
Yeah, they tweeted that. I thought you were the one who sent me that tweet. Why am I reading a Smash Mouth tweet if it's not sent from you?
That's a question that we all ask ourselves at many points in our lives.
Yes, they were like, oh, in like 8 years from now, that'll be nothing. That'll be cheap money.
The thing is with the Giants, though, is like, it really, I mean, like, it doesn't matter what they do for the next 20 years. You know what I mean? Because they won 3 championships in a 5-year span, right? Like, if they don't make the playoffs for 5 more years, I mean, they're from San Francisco. They got their shit together more than people in Philadelphia. Like, they'll be fine if the Giants are okay.
Yeah, it's probably about time to do a rebuild. I mean, you got Bumgarner this is the last year of his deal.
Mosey into Posey.
We got Bexley. It maybe looks like time. Pence is now gone. It's maybe time that the Giants think about rebuilding. I don't understand why they brought in McCutchen and Longoria last offseason. I think you probably look to trade Longoria, and if I'm them, I'm probably trying to trade Crawford and Belt and anyone of value and just kind of start over.
Burn the house down. Let them just hire people who drive Uber. Hire them to play shortstop. Who cares?
All right, yeah, you got an Uber driver at short. You got to have a barista on the team. It's San Francisco.
Yeah, it's San Francisco. You have to have a guy who has recently shucked an oyster in a corner outfield position.
And he's shucking them during the game, actually.
Of course. Have either of you been to that park?
Oh, yeah.
I haven't been to a game there since 2001, but I went out on the stadium tour last fall, and it was great.
I went in early July, and it was the coldest baseball game I've ever been to.
I 100% believe it. That's a very true stereotype. I was there in November, but we went the whole tour and we went in the press box, and from the press box, we could not see the right field wall. Couldn't see it. They were like, yeah, there's a statue of Willie McCovey over there, but you'll just have to take our word for it.
That's actually where the saying comes from, going, going, gone.
Is that true?
The full phrase is going, going, gone into the fog.
I did not know that. You made that up, right?
No, that's very true, John.
Okay, cool. Good
all right.
for San Francisco.
All right, so we've got the NL West. Who we got winning this division?
God, yeah, I think I got the Rockies. I'm gonna go Rockies.
All right, cool.
I'm up on the Rockies. I'm taking a cue from your brother, and I'm just gonna love the Rockies.
All right, fair enough. He does love the Rockies, and I don't know why. All right, so you got Phillies, Brewers, and Rockies as your division winners. Who are the two wild cards?
I'm gonna go Dodgers. And you know what? I'm going big. It's going to be the Nats.
All right. So, Dan, we got John's picks. Dan, who are you picking to win the divisions and the wild cards here?
I'll go Rockies. I'll go Brewers. And Braves.
We got two picks for both the Rockies and the Brewers. Interesting. Braves. And then, so that leaves two wild cards being
Cardinals and Phillies.
So you both have the Cubs missing the playoffs for the first time since, what would it be, 2014?
That's correct. Wait, Matt, I have to make one. I'm gonna be a flake. I'm gonna make one change. I'm gonna dampen my highness on the Nationals, and I think I'm looking at the Braves lineup right now, and I mean, think about how young all those guys were. They're just gonna have more at bats. Yeah, I'm going Braves as the other wild card team.
All right. And I will, it pains me to say this, and I don't know why, but I'm going to pick the Dodgers to win the NL West. It's been 6 years in a row now, and as far as I'm concerned, someone else is going to have to win the division before I pick anyone else to win the division. So until further notice, the Dodgers could get rid of all their players, and I would still probably pick them. So I'll say the Dodgers. I love the Brew Crew. I'll take them again in the Central. I picked them to make the playoffs last year when no one else was picking them. So I believe in the Crew and the power of Bob Uecker. So I'll take the Brewers in the Central. Now that they got Harper, I like the Phillies. They had a great offseason. They also brought in Real Muto. Maybe the two best acquisitions of the offseason was the same team. And
yeah, I was surprised with the Real Muto deal.
Yeah, I was just surprised that they traded him in the division.
Yeah. Well, it's the Marlins. They don't give a shit. Right?
That's got to be that's the only explanation.
That sounds like not real, but like I 100% believe it.
For the wild cards, I'll go with the Cardinals, and I'll take the Braves as well.
So you're both taking the Cardinals.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
They missed the playoffs by like 2 games, and then they added Paul Goldschmidt. How are you not taking the Cardinals?
And maybe a bounce back year from Andrew Miller.
We're going to wrap things up. I just really quickly from both you guys, I want to hear who's going to win the National League, who's going to go to the World Series, and also give me a Cy Young and an MVP.
Dan?
John is stalling to think of one here. I can go first. I will say that Max Scherzer, I know he has already 35 Cy Young awards, and it's
correct.
odd that he would get a 36th. It's just, until further notice, I mean, DeGrom obviously had an amazing season last year, and Nola did as well. And there's some other great pitchers in that league, but to me, Scherzer is he's head and shoulders above everyone else. I think
he's knees and toes above everybody else.
He is, yeah. But I'll take Scherzer.
Yeah, with regards to Cy Young, it's DeGrom. If he's healthy, it's DeGrom. I think Scherzer is outstanding. But DeGrom, I saw him pitch last year, and it was unbelievable. I mean, guy throwing a 91, 92 mile an hour slider. Get the hell out of here.
No, he definitely had the best season any NL pitchers. He probably had a better season last year than Scherzer has ever had, but Scherzer's consistency is just incredible. So I'm going to take the safe pick.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And a guy who I was thinking before you had mentioned DeGrom, and I remember DeGrom is like Aaron Nola could win 23 games next year, and if he can win, he can put. I know whatever about the win, but I mean, if he can put up a big sexy number like that, and if he can have an ERA below 2.2 and 250 strikeouts, he could make a run for it.
All right, so but you're going with DeGrom and Dan. Who you got for Cy Young?
Geez, it's got to be one of those three: Nola, DeGrom, Scherzer.
You Darvish.
Well, then the Cubs would definitely make the playoffs.
Yeah, that would kind of change if Darvish wins the Cy Young, I definitely got to change my pick on the Cubs not making the playoffs.
You know who I'd rather have? Who's going to pitch 150 innings?
If you say Homer Bailey.
No, Bartolo Colon.
Oh, my God. Oh, I'd 100% rather have Bartolo Colon. But besides the point, what else we're going with our other pick for the picks to win the National League?
Yeah, I want to hear an MVP and then ultimately who's going to win the pennant.
I'm gonna go with a very dark horse MVP candidate. How's that sound? Freddie Freeman.
All right.
Freddie Freeman's gonna have a big year.
And does that mean the Braves are gonna win?
No, that does not. I'm gonna go with the Brewers.
Nice.
Close
last year.
If the Brewers can go out and add another arm, even if it means they have to sacrifice something in their system, I just think they have so much damn depth. That's the team. But also, I think between the Brewers and the Phillies.
All right. Yeah, the Brewers, they have a tremendous depth, good pitching, good outfield, a very good infield, and the best announcer in baseball. And an elite ballpark. They got a lot going for them. Dan, who you got?
Definitely the Brewers.
Definitely.
They're just built for the postseason. If they can figure out what they're doing with starting pitching, they gotta fill that hole that Wade Miley left.
God, what a tall order! I wouldn't ask that of anyone.
I really hope that Wade Miley and Homer Bailey don't listen to this podcast because they just get wrecked.
I'll go DeGrom to repeat for Cy Young and DeGrom for MVP.
Oh, double up. Oh, interesting. This is a tough one. Freddie Freeman I actually kind of like as a pick, but I think I'm going to go with Paul Goldschmidt with the Cardinals. Yeah, he's been in the MVP race pretty much every year for a lot of years. Part of the reason I think he doesn't get as many votes is because he's been in Arizona. Nobody's watching him. If he plays as well as he can play, and he does it on a team that makes the playoffs in St. Louis, that's going to be hard to stop. All right, real quick, John, before you go, we have a little segment on our show that we like to do. I'd like you to tell me what this sabermetric stat is, okay? So I have for you, this is easier. McGowan, we had Ryan McGowan on in our last episode, and he had a very tough one that they took a while trying to guess. This one I think is a little easier. Maybe you could figure it out. It's UBR.
UBR. Oh wow, that's tough. I'm gonna say R is runs because the sabermetrics they love the runs. UBR.
UBR favorite guest.
It's unseen Batman run over.
All right, that's very unlikely. Dan, you got any guesses?
Yeah, I think it's unlikely base runner. And it's the player on your team who is you are least likely to put in as a pinch runner.
Yeah,
right. Interesting.
Who's the first baseman for the Brewers is that every year?
Yeah, Jesus Aguilar is going to win the unexpected base runner award.
Oh, but you know what? It has to have something to do with base running, BR, or Bleacher Report. We don't know.
Yeah, it could be Bleacher Report. It definitely could be.
This means unbelievable Bleacher Report, which is us saying that you would like to be purchased by Bleacher Report to be their primary baseball podcast.
Credit to Dan. It is base running. Would you guys like me to tell you the U?
Unbelievable.
All right, and Dan?
Unlikely.
It is ultimate base running, which is
base running.
It combines all the different base running speed kind of categories, and tries to be a better measure of base running than just steals and caught stolen bases. Also takes into account how often you might score from second on a base hit, and it's measured in a runs above average kind of way. So that's ultimate base running, and that is our podcast for the day. Thanks to John Oremus for coming on. I'm Matt Sadler.
I'm Dan Gamache.
And have a good one, everyone.
That was John Oremus.
Oh, legendary.